I want to give you a few different options of different finishes inside the triangle. Because if you're like me, I always get to the triangle, almost always, but I don't always get to finish it, just depending on maybe the size of the guy, maybe I wasn't able to lock up like I wanted to, or whatever factors may come in the way, I wasn't able to get the choke like I wanted. But I'm going to show you a few different ways to finish and some things that your opponent may do that'll help you out, then that way you know how to finish them as well. Let's just start off. We'll get a basic triangle. Now, let's say I shoot for the triangle and I don't get to keep this arm, and as I go to lock it, JT wraps around my thigh. Maybe he even locks his hands together. This is a real common one. Now, this is really hard to finish the triangle from here because I don't have his shoulder and his neck. I can try to maybe look for the reverse lock, but it's going to be really hard. So what I want to do is I want to make space. I'm going to pop my hips up. That way his hands aren't on the ground no more. I'm not smashing his hands down. Now, you can't just come inside the elbow. A good opponent isn't going to leave that space. And JT will never open up that because he knows what's going to come. He knows his arm would be in danger. He doesn't want it back in front of his face. He wants to keep it right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop up and I'm going to look for his hand. I'm going to come in at that hole because that one's a much weaker hole. Okay? And it's always going to be there. He's never going to be able to close that gap. Just because of the way you lock your hands, there's always going to be some little hole that I can just start feeding my fingers through. So pop your hips up, find that hole, and now what I want you to do is don't just slide your elbow all the way to his elbow because you're going to lose the lock. Bring your hand in and then just get your hand to the elbow because you want to keep your elbow down by the wrist because that's going to provide you some extra leverage. Once I get this far, I'm going to lock my hands together. I'm going to cover up my hand just like this, no thumbs, just lock just like this, that basic gable grip. And what I want to do is I want to pull his elbow to me and I want to pick my elbow up because as I pick my elbow up, it's going to cause his arm to go up just like that rather than just pulling on his elbow by itself. So I pop up, bring my hand in, lock, and then from here, I'm going to pull his elbow into my chest and raise it up. Notice how my elbow picks his arm up. And I go from here and get the tap. Now, good guys, they're not going to get tapped with this. What they're going to do, they're going to try to loop that arm around, right back to the triangle. Lock it up nice and tight, finish. So let's do that one more time. I get my triangle. He loops around and locks. I'm not able to get that finish like I wanted, so I pop up, come inside, clasp my hands together. Remember, pull that elbow into the chest, get that finish. And remember, even if you don't get the tap, you can bring that arm around. Remember, lock up, keep his head down, finish that triangle.